All right, guys, well, look at that. Look at the size of that thing. So first off, before I get into the video, I'll thank the guys at Untitled Tractor and Steve Kempton for giving me a chance to, play with this thing. They dropped this thing off and said, do you want to have some fun with it, use it for a day, whatever, let us know what you think. I said, yep, absolutely. So this is not my machine. This is just something that they're giving a few people to try out and see what they think. This is my machine. So previous to this, the 345 was the biggest machine that New Holland made. So looking at, without doing any measurements, looking at the stance, I believe that the track stance is like the same on both machines. Now, the height of the tracks is way different because the drives are so much bigger. Everything about the tracks on this thing are absolutely massive. So you take a look at this side here, it is just enormous. Look at the size of that drive. It is huge. They've got this thing built to try to absolutely minimize the tracks coming off, that's for sure. Compared to this, major differences. The buckets are the same width, but obviously you can tell from the height that this carries a lot more. So this has a 6,200 pound lifting capacity compared to a 4,500 pound lifting capacity. 100 horsepower versus 114 horsepower. And this thing weighs over 16,000 pounds. This is like 10,500. So that is an absolute huge difference in weight. So you definitely would need to keep that in mind when you're, looking at your licenses that you have to have for hauling weights, the trailer and the trucks that you have, because this thing here, this takes a big boy trailer, a big boy truck, and potentially a big boy license. 16,000 pounds. Your trailer, you're probably going to be into a gooseneck. So by the time that you put this on a gooseneck, you're definitely looking at a dually. So you're into, your commercial class license, that's for sure. So to me, this thing is aimed definitely at more commercial versus being able to do commercial and some landscaping, residential stuff. This, I don't think you're going to do a whole lot of residential stuff with this. This is like for major land clearing, major groundworks. Put a dozer blade on it. You can tell how much different the setups are in front. They've got guards basically made for when you got a dozer blade on, you're pushing and rocks could roll over. That's all protected. The arms are absolutely huge. It's like, look at the size of the arms on that thing. Massive. The lights are way better. The LED lights are definitely stronger than what these ones are. These ones are pretty good, but those are just another ball game. Look at the size. So here on this side we have our high flow and our low flow all on the same side with our K-strain line. Over here you've got your low flow, which they don't have. Unless they only option this machine out for low flow, but that looks like high flow to me. That is interesting. Okay, I'll have to check into that. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna jump in this thing. I'm gonna do a little bit of work with it. This isn't the ideal job for this machine, but it's the job that we're working on right now. So I'm gonna use that machine to level this pile of ground out, widen this parking area out here, and just see how it acts compared to the 345. And then once I'm done in the end, I'll sort of give my opinion of what I think that this machine would shine at, and its downfalls sort of at the same time, comparing the two machines, or just talking about a machine this size. Like, when would you use a machine this size and what applications? All right, so I don't want to slow production down here too much. We got John loading the tandem. But yeah, 114 horsepower. So you think about that, 14 horsepower more. It doesn't sound like a lot compared to the 345, but when you're talking 14 horsepower in a machine, that is a huge difference. Now, I did have this down this really steep hill here, pushing off some dirt, and I'm not going to say it had trouble, but it definitely had to work hard to get back up the hill. Because you're talking an extra 6,000 pounds basically what this machine weighs compared to the 345. That's a lot of weight to be crawling up a hill like this. That's for sure. So, you know, you got to keep that sort of stuff in mind. But yeah, it's absolutely massive from behind. The huge counterweights, they just come standard. Because when you're talking 6,200 pounds and this thing will lift 12 feet high at the bottom here, when you're all the way up, you're going to be 12 feet off the ground right here. So it'd be great for loading a dump truck. It's too bad I don't have more time with this thing that I could compare the two machines, you know, loading the truck, just how much higher this one will lift, how much more stable it is, you know, all that sort of thing. But when you're talking about lifting up 6,200 pounds, you got to have a lot of counterweight when you got all that weight up above you. That's for sure. So that's what that's all about. And another cool thing with this that is really good for, would be really good for me where I do a lot of mulching, is the fan is reversible. So the fan's gonna suck in all the dust, and if you're mulching, you know, a lot of debris and everything like that, this has the ability that you can turn the fan and it blows it out. So that's a really cool feature. But to get an idea of how large this thing is from behind, it's right at my eye height, right here. The bar is above my head. Like, it is massive, absolutely massive. The camera, now that I see it, it may be adjustable, but it definitely points way more to the ground instead of out like the 345 does. But yeah, this thing is just an absolute animal, that's for sure. I do like that they have this here for the battery. You can get into your battery easily to remove it, or your disconnect, or even to jump start it. And this is pretty hefty. This is a hefty piece of steel right here. You're not getting in that too easy. But man, just look at this. Like, look at this. Look at the size of this thing. Crazy. The absolute animal. I love to haul it too. Like, I wish I had more time with this, because I love to load the trucks with it. I love to throw it on the back of a trailer and haul it compared to the 345, all that stuff. But anyway, once John's done throwing that stuff on, he's gonna come down here and bale a bunch of fill down the hill. I'm gonna come and level off this load of type 2 in this area here, and I'll just let you know how it feels and how it operates compared to the 345. All right, so hopefully this camera's at a good angle. I know the glare is not good. We'll see if we can get rid of some of this crap on here. All right, so inside the cab, basically everything is the same. You know, really everything is the same, to be honest. I find that this points down a bit lower. At idle it sounds the same, but when she's running, it's she does a little more high pitch whine than the other one. She's quite a bit louder, as you can hear instantly. I think it's probably even harder to hear me. Now, the other thing I found is that where the bucket's so tall, you can't see your blade. Now you can, but I can't see if I'm where I want to be with it. But digging into a pile, she's got some serious force. like half throttle right now. It definitely has no issue with digging into the pile. It is pretty smooth. You can adjust the sensitivity, of course, just like the other one. Pretty sensitive, but like I said, you can adjust that down. My blade, so I can't see. I'm not low enough. I can't see for digging in and taking skim off the pile. I mean, once you got used to it, it'd probably be all right. But right now, at the start, not being used to it. Not that easy. doesn't have trajectory lines or like, you know, markers. Unless there's a setting for that. Anyway, it's kind of there. It's kind of leveled out. I gotta go jump back in the tandem. I'll let John pretty this up with the excavator. Definitely takes some getting used to with that bucket like that. Without being able to see. Anyway. So it's definitely loud. It's not great for this stuff, but it's a heck of a beast. Yeah, that thing is absolutely huge. That looked big before. This thing is just enormous. So I started this video with saying that the work that I'm doing today is not gonna showcase this machine's strong point, and it didn't. It was actually pretty tough to use in doing what I'm doing today, even leveling out this stone here, because you can't see over the bucket. You can't see your cutting edge, so you can't see where you're going into a pile at. You can't see when you're back dragging really at all, versus on this one you can. So again, they're the same width bucket, but this is like much higher, obviously. So to get around that, I mean, you could have a much longer cutting edge. That's one way. That would be the way that you could still utilize this bucket. The other way is you could get another bucket like this one and swap in and out with this machine. So, you know, that's not the end of the world. It definitely did bog down coming up over the hills. This hill, this really steep hill, compared to this, because I just used this for the last probably hour doing this and taking some fill down below, turning around, coming back up, and this goes up the hill like a rocket. 6,000 pounds more, basically. So that's definitely the reason why this is much noisier than this one. So, you know, you're hearing me say a lot of negative things, but in the right circumstance, this thing would be an absolute tank. Now, if I was to order this machine, or to buy this machine, I would 100% buy it with steel tracks, because I just do not see why you would really or how you'd utilize this machine with rubber tracks. You're not taking this in someone's backyard, driving over their driveway, going through their fence in a tight area to get in their backyard. You know, you're probably not even using this on the highway to do cleanup jobs, you know, like DOT work and stuff like that. You're using this, in my opinion, you're using something like this with a dozer blade on the front, with a mulcher attachment, and with this huge bucket for loading trucks, topsoil. You know, this would be a great pit machine if you have a pit where you're dumping stuff and it has to be leveled off. You got the dozer blade. But then if you have gravel, and if you have topsoil and fill and stuff to load in a dump truck, this is perfect for that. But steel tracks, because you're going to be in a situation where you're on gravel or you're in mud or whatever. So dozer blade, hands down, this thing would rock. The mulcher, even though the flow is basically pretty much the same on this machine as it is on this machine, you know, a big mulcher in the front, like my new mulcher that I just got, I haven't tried yet, it's a big mulcher, and it's going to be big for this machine. This would just handle it that much better. 14 more horsepower, so even though the flow is the same, you still have more horsepower. And again, steel tracks, because if you're doing brush clearing and mulching and all that sort of stuff, you're in bad terrain. It could be rocky, it could be muddy, whatever. These things are heavy enough, and with these rubber tracks on, you don't get a lot of traction compared to, you know, like an excavator or a dozer with the steel tracks. So in my opinion, you're buying this machine with steel tracks. So yeah, in the end, I really do think that this is, it's definitely meant for the right person, the right conditions, but it can definitely be useful. You know, if you don't need a dedicated dozer, you can still use this as a dozer, put a blade on it, and then you could take it off, throw the bucket on, throw the mulcher on. It'd be great for farmers, you know, scooping up manure and whatever else, and then you put a dozer blade on if you're clearing land to make new fields, you know, all that sort of stuff. You could mulch it, then you could plow it, and then you can scoop it. So yeah, I think there's definitely a use for it. It's not something that I'd be looking at right now. And then there's the price tag. Down in the States, this was going for like $140,000. So we're talking like $200,000 here in Canada, or a little better. That's a lot. That's a lot. But if it's going to work every day and it's making you money, then it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. But anyway, folks, I wish I had more time with the machine. I think they're coming to pick it up tomorrow. I would love to load some trucks with it. I would love to put it on the back of a trailer and haul it around and compare it to hauling my 345, all that stuff. But unfortunately, it's not my machine, and I don't have much time with it. But I do thank the guys at Untitled Tractor for dropping this off. And I'll put the phone number for the local sales guy that I deal with from Untitled Tractor. He's awesome. Anyone looking for, you know, excavators, skid steers, farm equipment, whatever, hit this guy up for sure. But anyway, folks, that is going to do it for this one. So until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you then. Bye.